So hello, everyone. Welcome to this wrap-up session of our Social and Green Entrepreneurship Month. So as most of you know, because I have seen many of your faces during the regional workshops, this is the first time that YBI has been hosting a Social and Green Entrepreneurship Month, recognizing the importance of the topic right now in the world, but also recognizing the big interest among members to be joining discussions around this topic. Many of you are right now supporting or willing to support social and green entrepreneurs. So that's why YBI decided to work more closely with this topic and just make sure that we are responding to a bigger trend in the sector, but also responding to the needs that you have as members of the YBI network. So welcome everyone. It's really, really nice to have you all here. I think most of you know me already, but just briefly, I am Carol Appel. I'm head of training at YBI. Have been working not just in the training area, but also developing some of our offerings in social and green. And I'm really happy to be co-facilitating this session with my colleague, Anna, who has just joined the team to be the social and green entrepreneurship lead. So she is going to be the new face of social and green entrepreneurship at YBI, and she's going to be taking this work forward. So Anna, if you want to introduce yourself, that would be lovely.
Yeah, hello everyone. It's really nice to be here and to see you. Some of you I met during the regional workshops a few weeks ago, but many of you I'm meeting for the first time. So it's really great to be part of this. Just very briefly to introduce myself, I've been working in the social entrepreneurship space for about 12 years. I started off as a social entrepreneur and then moved over to support other social entrepreneurs in the UK and also internationally with a focus on Africa. Recently, I was living in Ethiopia supporting social entrepreneurs there. And then I also was running a global network of member organizations, all supporting social entrepreneurs, so a little bit similar to YBI. And I'm very excited to be here now, helping YBI, helping you all to develop your support offer for social and green entrepreneurs. So yes, very, very happy to meet you all, and hopefully I'll have a chance to meet you one-to-one shortly as well. Handing back to Carol.
Sana. So let me just share the plan for the session today. So we're going to be talking about the regional workshop. So many of you have joined those discussions that took place earlier this month. So we're just going to give you guys an overview of what happened that week, a little bit of what we heard from members in the survey that many of you have completed. And then we're going to present the outcomes of the discussion. So we spent most of those sessions talking about solutions for the existing challenges. And we are going to present back to you some of those. There were many that have been generated. So we're going to give like a highlight of the main ones, and then give you guys an opportunity for Q&A as well after the presentation. Then we're going to be launching the YBI's Social and Green Entrepreneurship Toolkit that we have been working on for the last few months. So we're really excited to be launching that and explaining how you can have access to this toolkit to help improve the support for social and green entrepreneurs. And then we're going to briefly talk about next steps. So this month was just the start of the conversations at YBI, and then we're going to be talking a bit more how we're going to take that forward. That's the plan of the session. This is quite informal. It's just, an internal session for YBI. So if you have any questions at any point, please feel free to use the chat. And then obviously we're going to have a few checkpoints during the session for you to, with more formal Q&A time. Okay, but feel free to share whatever you want in the chat and join the discussion or ask questions through the chat. So the first thing we want to do here is to present the results of the regional workshops. that we held last month and this month on social and green. So those workshops took place in March and April. Most of them took place in the first week of April, from 5th to the 7th of April. And we had a total of 5 regional workshops. One of them took place early March, and that was in person with our members from Africa. And then we had the 4 online workshops with the other regions within the network. So that was Latin America, Europe, Eastern Europe, and Middle East, then one for Asia, and one for the Caribbean and US. We had a total of 45 participants in all of those workshops from 34 members. I have to say that I'm really, really pleased with those numbers. I think it's a great level of engagement that shows us how this topic is important and how the network is willing to discuss more things about that, and also learn as a network and learn as a group of people more about how we can improve the support to social and green entrepreneurs. That's more than half of the network. So I think that's quite representative about the importance of the topic for all of us right now. So people have kindly responded to a survey that formed the basis of what we have discussed in those workshops. And I'm not going to present everything that we have come across in the survey, but just want to give you an overview about the 2 key things that came up from that survey. So we had 26 respondents, so that's pretty much half of the network. And the first question we ask is whether people, where people were at in terms of supporting social and green entrepreneurs. So more than half of the 26 respondents said that they already offer specific support to social and green entrepreneurs. So that's, again, quite representative. And then 38% said that they were not doing that at the moment, but they were looking at ways of doing that in the short term. And then only 8% weren't doing anything and didn't have any plan in the short term or medium term to do that. So I think it's quite representative to see that, first, that we have a lot of knowledge within the YBI already from this 54% of members already doing stuff in this space, but also knowing that there is, a good amount of other members that are looking for more information and inspiration on how to do the work in this area as well. Then, based on the things that have been shared by you in the survey, we have discussed the 5 key challenges that have come up. So the first one is funding for the entrepreneurship support organization. So funding for you guys to be able to provide the support to social and green entrepreneurs. That was a challenge that has been mentioned by a number of different members in the survey. The other one is funding for the entrepreneurs and where to, how to help them access funding and other sources of finance to put the business in place and also invest in the business. How to provide adequate support, also in terms of what is needed by social and green entrepreneurs, what are the best formats, what are the best business model templates to use, and things more, even more practical, but also more general, what type of support do those entrepreneurs need. Lack of experts was mentioned by a number of people, and where to find the right professionals to work with the entrepreneurs. And then here we're talking about trainers, mentors, coaches, and etc. And then how to develop local ecosystems. So how to make sure that the government is engaged and creating the right laws and rules for social and green entrepreneurs. How to change the culture around these topics as well, how to develop the ecosystem for funding for entrepreneurs, and how to get financial institutions involved and investors and things like that. So these were the 5 key topics that have been discussed across all the different all the different workshops. And what we're going to be doing now is to present back what are the solutions that people have come up with, and some of the solutions already existing solutions that have also been presented. So I'm going to hand over to Anna, who's going to do that for us. And then at the end, we're going to have some time for questions if you have any. But feel free to start dropping them in the chat already as you hear the presentation. So over to you, Anna.
Thank you, Carol. If you could just go over to the next slide. Thank you. So yeah, as Carol said, there were 5 different challenges that you all identified as being really key. And in these regional workshops, you all put forward both some ideas for the existing solutions that were already taking place. So these were either solutions that were being done by you and your organization, or ones that you were aware of that were taking place by other organizations. And then you came up with lots of new ideas as well for ways that these challenges could be tackled. And it was really inspiring, I have to say, for me to hear this. In fact, a lot of what you said completely resonated with me. It was really great to get a sense that we're all very much aligned in what needs to take place. But I was also really inspired to hear new solutions and new ideas, some of which I'll share now. So you'll see on each slide, there's quite a lot of text. I'm not going to run through all of this. These are some different ideas that were captured from all of the different discussions. I've selected 3 main existing solutions and generated ideas for each challenge that I'd like to briefly talk you through. And then for the rest of those points, you can just read through the presentation in your own time. So starting off with the challenge of finding funding for entrepreneur support organizations. Some of the existing solutions that members mentioned are that private companies often like to fund social entrepreneurs or green entrepreneurs because it aligns with their business goals and brand. And I think this is something that's really worth trying to leverage. So finding out the local or the national or even the international corporations that work within your relevant sector, and understanding where there's a values alignment, what their goals are and how that might fit in with what you are running through your programs. Often these companies like to have a lot of visibility, so whether they're running pitch competitions or whether they have CSR departments, there is an opportunity there to be able to fit in with that, and it's great to see that some of you are already doing that. Often there are loans and grants available for large donors which are interested in investing in social and green entrepreneurship. They may not be able to work directly with the entrepreneurs because perhaps their budget is much too large for the individual entrepreneurs to absorb. And this is where some of you entrepreneur support organizations can really play a role in helping to distribute those that funding throughout the entrepreneurs that you support. And then finally, entrepreneurship support organizations can form strategic partnerships with other like-minded organizations to be able to secure, again, larger funding and be able to bring in funding both for yourselves and then to filter that down to your entrepreneurs. So those are some of the things that some of you are already doing or that you're aware is happening. Some of the new ideas that you had were to map the funding available in different regions. I think this is really key in being able to understand who is doing what's already available. And I think as a network, given that we all work together and communicate regularly, we're in a really strong position to be able to share that information and develop a good kind of repository for what's out there. I think really key that I wanted to really bring to light is the importance of championing success stories. Obviously, this is not a sort of direct mechanism for getting funding, but I think it is absolutely key to being able to access funding and to be able to drive more interest from funders is being able to show examples of work that is taking place within the social and green entrepreneurship sector, and to be able to back that up by data as well as qualitative support. And that will just drive a lot more interest from funders. And then linking from that is about educating existing funders about social and green entrepreneurship. I think sometimes there can be a misconception that social and green doesn't go together with profit, and that's not the case. Strong entrepreneurship, even if it has a social and green focus, should be able to drive a healthy financial income as well as traditional business. And it's about being able to educate funders about that, and about the fact that effective interventions can lead to a wider long-term financial saving as well. If you're solving big social or environmental challenges, you can save a huge amount of money, because without those challenges being tackled, the cost would be very, very high. So these are some initial generated ideas that were discussed. Could we go to the next slide, please, Carol? So looking at funding for social and green entrepreneurs, this is also a challenge. There's quite a lot of crossover between this and funding for the ESOs. So some of the existing solutions that were identified were, again, about identifying what funding opportunities already exist. And it's really key to look at diverse funding streams. So we're wanting to look at grants, angel investors, crowdfunding, blended finance. So you're not just looking at debt, but you're looking at different types of investment and finance that's available, and being able to map that. And that's what some organizations are already doing. I have an example of Idea Lab from Mozambique, who have developed an investor entrepreneur matching platform, which is amazing. I would love to see that, because that's just a dream for a lot of organizations that are, both looking for entrepreneurs that are looking for investors, and investors that are looking for entrepreneurs to match with. There is a key missing piece in being able to link the two together. So it's fantastic that Idea Lab is already doing that through a matching platform. And then another existing idea that was identified, or solution for this challenge, is that the European Union and UNDP have funding available, especially for green solutions. So that's something that your green and social entrepreneurs can try to tap into. Some of the generated ideas that we have. So number one is about helping social and green entrepreneurs to demonstrate their impact. This is really, really key when it comes to being able to show and demonstrate stories of success and evidence how these entrepreneurs are tackling some of the most pressing challenges. So being able to demonstrate impact and show how this leads to long-term cost saving, again, will be really effective in helping to attract funders. Next point is providing funders with a pipeline. So again, this goes back to that previous challenge about connecting the provision of finance with the demand for finance. So both exist, there is finance out there, but often they're not able, they don't know how to find the right types of entrepreneurs to invest in. So as ESOs, you have a great opportunity to be able to help funders find great entrepreneurs by providing them with a pipeline of tried and tested solutions and trusted entrepreneurs that you can recommend to these funders. And then finally is about promoting lean startup methodology. So obviously a lot of the time when a business, social or green or any type of business is being set up in its early stages, it does require a capital investment. But if you employ the lean startup methodology, it's about doing as much as you can with the minimum sort of resource requirement possible. And this can help your businesses, your entrepreneurs, to begin selling and to begin showing evidence of the work that they do early on, so that again, they can hopefully attract funding without needing a huge injection of capital upfront. Okay, let's move on to the next slide, please. Sorry if I'm racing through this. Feel free to drop a comment in the chat if I'm going too quickly, or if you need any kind of recap of anything. But I'm just trying to make sure I can get through everything in time. So providing adequate support. In terms of existing solutions, obviously we have the YBI toolkit that Carol is going to be talking more about, and we'll be sharing the experience of one of our members today. It's a really great resource that maps and provides access to a lot of the existing tools that are out there, and I would really urge you to have a look at that. It's a really, really great starting point. Then we have some examples from some of our members. So in Trinidad and Tobago, they're doing a peer-to-peer cross-country mentorship program, which is super inspiring. I think that's what they're doing, or maybe it's just that they pointed out that that's happening. But either way, that is really great. I think a lot of the time, being able to learn from peers is the most valuable way of being able to solve challenges and speak to people who've experienced similar things. And also, homing in on mentorship. So Sky's the Limit talked about having the right mentors asking the right questions. So obviously having really strong relationships with the right type of people that can provide support and insight is really key. Some of the new ideas that were generated were to really focus in on soft skills development. So of course, technical and hard skills are really key, but I think soft skills are absolutely crucial, and especially possibly even more so when it comes to social and green entrepreneurship, where you require so much sort of resilience and passion and all sorts of skills that I think are amplified when it comes to social and green entrepreneurship, and that soft skills development can really help move that forward. Having a flexible approach was something that was mentioned a few times by a few different members. So where there are incubators and accelerator programs, quite often they tend to be a bit one size fits all. And it's really important to have a very flexible approach, knowing that different contexts require very different types of support. So we can try and harness what we know works well in other contexts and get the most out of that. Also know that you have to be able to adapt support according to individual entrepreneurs and individual environments. And then another idea was to organize monthly clinics for entrepreneurs to provide one-to-one support. So to have like a structured kind of space for entrepreneurs to come together and to support one another regularly is also very effective. Next slide, please. Okay, so the next challenge was about the lack of experts. So some of the existing solutions that were mentioned from Barbados, there was looking at S&G initiatives in the region to create a database. They are creating a curriculum for training for social and green entrepreneurs and taking courses on social and green entrepreneurship to develop knowledge. So there's a lot being done in Barbados, which was really, really inspiring to see. I'm looking forward to connecting with the team there more to learn about what they're doing. But just to flag that there seems to be a lot happening there and lots of opportunity to learn from the member in Barbados. In Germany, they have a network alumni, which is really, really exciting and a really powerful way of being able to draw on expertise. Once you've had entrepreneurs go through your programs and gather a huge amount of insight and experience, especially when they know the program that you are running, that is a huge fertile ground for really, really great learning to be able to draw from. And then mentors from existing social and green businesses to support other members and other entrepreneurs. I think this is, again, being able to draw on people who've been through the journey and are happy to support other like-minded organizations is a very powerful tool. Some generated ideas, so providing train the trainer models, so being able to support you to be able to then train your entrepreneurs. Creating a knowledge repository on social and green entrepreneurship. I think this is a really, really great point. I think it's a big task, but I think it's something that if we can do collectively well, will be hugely, hugely impactful. So the toolkit starts providing that to an extent, and I think that's something that we can already be using. And I think the more we can start to map out what exists in all different regions and have that in one space available for people to access, that will be really, really valuable for everyone. And then having an open communication channel for YBI and social and green community members to practice and learn and share together. In a minute, we're going to talk about a community of practice as well that we're going to be running. And I think in general, having open spaces and open communication channels for the community to learn from each other is one of the best ways that we can possibly develop skills and move forward in this area. Next slide, please. And then the local ecosystem, this is really, really interesting. So some of the members that were in this discussion mentioned that there's actually no local ecosystem in their region at all. And then others said that they're very developed. So I think there's a huge amount that members can learn from each other here. In Hong Kong, it was mentioned that they have connections with local government and education systems. So obviously these different institutions have been able to provide value and be able to provide support and connection in social and green entrepreneurship, which is really promising to see. I think in Barbados, again, they have partnered with microfinance institutions to provide ring-fenced funding for social and green entrepreneurship. Again, that seems really, really amazing. Very developed that there are those specific opportunities that are developed specifically for social and green entrepreneurship. So that's fantastic. And in Anguilla, the government has revamped the legislation to support medium and small to provide support to social and green entrepreneurs. Again, that's amazing that they've not only kind of defined what social and green entrepreneurship is, which of course is one initial challenge that many face, but they've then gone on to sort of shape legislation and support around that. In terms of new generated ideas, we talked about having access to existing research and case studies on how to create ecosystems that are really flourishing. So I think, as anything else, when you're able to look at a story of success on a framework, a model of success, and look how a particular country managed to create that really thriving ecosystem and share that kind of share that experience, that's a great way to learn from an actual tangible example. Another idea is to map the journey of social and green entrepreneurship really from the beginning to the end. So looking at what entrepreneurs need at each stage of their development. So really from developing the right idea and kind of understanding the core problem that's trying to be tackled, designing the solution, testing it, and so on, all the way through to establishing your business and scaling. And looking at what support is needed at each of those stages, and then to look at which stakeholders exist, who is already providing support in those areas, what organizations are doing that, and what resources are out there that you can tap into. And then there's another piece around understanding what other organizations might be able to be part of the ecosystem. So perhaps they're not currently really aware of social and green entrepreneurship or how they fit into that, but it's about helping them to sort of have awareness of their own role within the ecosystem. And then finally, offering social events and opportunities to connect. So it's one thing knowing who's doing what, it's another thing to actually start to really develop those relationships. And obviously where possible, building face-to-face in-person relationships is the most powerful tool for being able to form collaborative partnerships. But also the fact that we've all got so much better at connecting virtually since COVID provides another great opportunity to really expand on those relationships as well. Okay, I think we have one more slide. So just a really kind of brief wrap up of some of those key points. One is around championing social and green success stories, and this feeds into everything really. It feeds into being able to access funding, in being able to share learning, and being able to develop the ecosystem. That is something that I think is really, really key. Mapping and connecting what existing support is already out there, educating both entrepreneurs and funders about social and green entrepreneurship and the impact that it can have both on these social and environmental challenges, but also the financial gain that can come as a result of it. The need to bring together experts to share knowledge, and how peer-to-peer learning is a really powerful way of doing that and capturing best practice. And then in terms of finance, it's about exploring diverse funding streams. I've just talked for ages. Thank you for listening to me. I'm going to stop there and hand back to Carol. I think we're having a bit of an opportunity to do a Q&A now.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do this a bit differently. So if you have any questions, immediate questions, please type them in the chat, and I'll ask you, Anna, to maybe try to respond to some of them through the chat. Just because we have an entrepreneur joining from Turkey, and they gonna need translation, and the interpreter needs to leave soon. So I just want to make sure we can hear from the entrepreneur. But then towards the end, we can open a Q&A session properly. But feel free to already drop some questions in the chat. The only thing I wanted to mention here is that this whole exercise has been really, really interesting for us at YBI, especially because some of these things are gonna drive our next steps in this social and green entrepreneurship space. So it gives us a really good overview of what members are already doing, what other organizations are already doing just to support social and green entrepreneurs, and also gave us some really good ideas of what we could be doing together. So this is definitely going to input into our strategy in this area. But then towards the end, you're going to see also how we're going to take these conversations forward. There's obviously a lot of things here. I'm going to share the slides with you because you could see that we just presented the 3 key ideas, solutions from each challenge, but we're going to share the whole slides with you so you can have a look at all the other ones that were below them. And then we're going to explore that further as a network, and we're going to talk about this towards the end of the session. So what I want to do now is to officially launch the YBI Social and Green Toolkit. First of all, I'm gonna give you an overview of the work that we have done in that. So that's something that we have been developing since November or October last year. And we have done that in partnership with 6 of our members. So we had a group of 3 members that were experienced in this field, and that was BYST from India, IDEA Lab from Mozambique, and Somo Africa from Kenya. So they have input their knowledge and experience in already supporting social and green entrepreneurs. And then we had 3 members that didn't have as much experience, and they were up for piloting the toolkit. So that was Youth Business Spain, Habitat from Turkey, and KPA from Kenya. So everything that we're gonna see now has been developed by this working group, and this is just the first version of this this toolkit. We're gonna be explaining that in more detail in our few TOT sessions. I'm going to talk about that later, but just to give you guys an overview of how the toolkit is currently structured. We have found out tools. All these tools are existing tools, so they were already out there. They have been developed by a number of different organizations. And we managed to find out about these tools through a research that YBI has conducted last year. And that research came with a catalog of existing tools that are out there for social and green entrepreneurs. So this is pretty much a work that we have done to curate that catalog into something that was more relevant for the network and for YBI members. We have 5 different categories here. So we have one category for personal development and self-knowledge, one for business modeling, one for business validation, one for legal and governance model, and one for impact measurement. And then, as you can see, we have a number of different tools. They vary in terms of quantity per area here, because it really depends a lot on what's out there. In many cases, these tools are focused on social and green entrepreneurs specifically. But in some cases, they are more general tools for entrepreneurs, but they're specifically relevant for social and green entrepreneurs. So once you have access to the toolkit, you're going to have access to all of that. As you can see here, this is just the framework on the first page of this, Excel spreadsheet. And then you can navigate through each tool depending on what you need. So for example, here we have the foundations of a social and green entrepreneur. That's a tool for personal development. So you just need to click there, go to the tool, and here you will have an overview about the tool, what this is about, why this tool is important and relevant. You're gonna have the template here for you to have a quick look. But for every single tool, we're gonna have, and we have already, one template that you can use for in-person collaboration. So this is something that you can just print out and take to entrepreneurs to use. And we also have a version on Mural for online collaboration. So there's already a template ready for you on Mural in case you want to share that with entrepreneurs virtually. Then we have a quick guide. So here it's all about how you can use the tool and the step-by-step to complete the tool. Some tips and advice on how you can make the most out of the tool. And then additional resources. So depending on the tool, we're going to have a few worked templates, or we have links to additional content that can help you fill out that tool. Although it's an Excel, sometimes it's not the easiest way to navigate, but we have, those buttons. You just need to click them to move from one side to the other. Just showing another example here for the business model. We have two specific versions of the social business model canvas, and these are variations from the traditional business model canvas. So you can see here, this one, for example, hopefully you can see it. But basically it splits the segments of clients, for example, between beneficiaries and customers, which usually happens for social entrepreneurs. You have something around the impact measurement that you don't have in the traditional business model canvas, but you have in the social business model canvas. So this is an example of a tool that has been adapted exclusively for social and green entrepreneurs. So the beauty of the toolkit is that it's really, really flexible. So you can decide as an organization what you want to use. If you want to use all of them and put them together into a training program, you can do that. If you want to select a few of them and use them in a new training or mentoring program, you can do that. If you want to just choose one of the tools and maybe, offer entrepreneurs an opportunity to use a social business model canvas instead of a traditional business model canvas, you can do that. And this can be used for both training programs and mentoring programs. So when we did the pilot, we tested both things. We had online training, we had in-person training, and we had mentoring. And the toolkit has worked pretty well in all of those different types of program. So it's absolutely flexible, absolutely something that, any member that wants to support social and green entrepreneurs can use, either to develop something completely new or to adapt existing training or mentoring offerings to the needs of social and green entrepreneurs. I just want to pause now because as I said, one of our piloting members from Habitats, they're going to share a little bit of their experience and how they have experienced that. I'm going to start by having one of the entrepreneurs that have gone through the toolkit to share their experience. So that's Janan, and she is one of the leaders of Kadama Women Cooperative. And she had the opportunity to use some of the tools of the toolkit, and she will share her experience. We're going to have live translation for this part of the session. So you should be able to see an option for interpretation in the bar of tools here on Zoom. So if you can go there, click there and make sure that you select the English channel, you will be able to hear the translation that kindly Melike, also from Habitat, is going to do for us. So, Canan, over to you.
Merhabalar. Tüm katılımcıları saygıyla selamlıyorum. Bir düşü gerçekleştirme olasılığı yaşamı ilginçleştiriyor der Paulo Coelho. Bizim hikayemiz bir düşle başladı ve sorularla ilerledi. Sanıyorum şık bu, değil mi? Buna görmenizi istiyorum. Bu benim üstümdeki bir elbise değil. Bunun adı ehram. Bu benim milli kıyafetim. Erzurum'daki her kadının eskiden giydiği kıyafet bu. Milli kıyafetimiz eşsiz. Fakat bu ülkemde ve şehrimde eşsiz olan tek şey değil. Kadınlarımızın el emeği eserleri de eşsiz. Bugün konuşmak istediğim konu tam da bu. Kadınların el emeği ile var olabilecekleri. Devam etmeden önce durumumu anlatmalıyım, bizim hikayemizi anlatmalıyım. Biz bir kadın kooperatifiyiz, Kadama Kadın Kooperatifi ve Erzurum'dayız. Erzurum, Türkiye'nin doğusunda bulunan bir şehir. Eskiden Doğu'nun Paris'i olarak bilinirdi. Ancak şehrim ülkenin en müreffeh şehri değil. Gerçek şu ki Erzurum, Türkiye'nin en doğusunda 2000 metre yüksekliğe kurulmuş ve 5000 yıllık bir şehir. Ve maalesef mutlu ve müreffeh kadınlardan oluşmuş değiliz. Az eğitimli ve az gelirli kadınları aktif ekonomiye katmayı düşünsek, düşlesek nasıl olurdu? Ya da bildikleri en iyi işten başlayarak, onların özlerine uygun bir ekonomi yaratarak bunu sürdürülebilir kılmak mümkün müydü? İşte Kadama, Kadın Kooperatifi bu sorularla şekillendi. Kadama olarak gelişmeyi bütüncül bir yaklaşım olarak algılıyoruz ve amacımız kadınların mutlu olduğu ve ayaklarının üzerinde durabildiği bir ekosistem yaratmak. Ama bunu söylemek yapmaktan daha kolay. Özellikle de mikroekonominiz varsa. Biliyorum burada bulunan bazılarınız Kadama'nın sahip olduğu ekonomik gelirden daha büyük bir kıymete sahip kişisel olarak. Yani bizim ekonomimiz küçük. Ancak işler bu noktada ilginçleşmeye başlıyor. Çünkü Kadama Kadın Kooperatifi sınırlı kaynaklarını dikkatlice kullanıyor ve biz değerlerle birlikte gelişme misyonuna güvenmeye devam ediyoruz. Kadama'nın ekonomisi küçük ve bizim onu güçlendirmemiz gerekiyor. Ekonomik gelişmişlik elbette önemli. Ancak bu ekonomik gelişmişlik bizim eşsiz kültürümüzün ve el değmemiş çerçevemizin içi boşaltılarak elde edilmemeli. Ne demek istiyorum? Erzurum'un geleneksel ürünlerinin ve el emeğinin en güzel örneklerinin tamamen el işçiliğiyle üretilerek geçmişten geleceğe iğneyle, tığla, oklavayla nakşedilmesi ve nakledilmesi ve bunu yaparken kadının istihdama, üretime katılmasını hedefliyoruz. Kadama Kadın Kooperatifinde kişiler, kurumlar ve olaylar gerçek olsa da bu bir hayalin hikayesi. Binlerce kadının hayatını değiştirmek için kurulmuş bir hayalin hikayesi bu. Beraber yazdığımız. Projemizin çıkış noktası Erzurum. Ancak amacımız diğer şehirlerde de uygulanabilecek bir model oluşturmak. Kadınların ekonomik ve sosyal alanda güçlendiklerinde ekonomik büyüme, sosyal gelişme ve sürdürülebilir kalkınma için değişimin temsilcisi olacaklarına gönülden inanıyorum. Bizim projemizin gelişme bölümünden bahsetmek istiyorum. Habitat ve toolkitlerden bahsetmek istiyorum burada. Kadama paydaşlarının bir hayali var. Bu hayali hayata geçirmek için de canla başla çalışıyorlar. Tüm çalışmalar tam bir kolej havasında gerçekleşiyor. Amatör ruh, özveri, çalışkanlık çok güzel. Ancak biraz daha kurumsallığa ihtiyacımız olan, fırsatlarla riskleri aynı anda gözler önüne seren ve daha gerçekleşmeden çözüm yolları düşünülmüş engellerin ortaya konması gerekiyor. Toolkit çalışması bize bu konuda yardımcı oldu. Hangi alanlarımız kuvvetli, nerelerde risklerimiz var, bu risklerle karşılaştığımızda nasıl çözüm üretiriz? Hepsini toolkitlerle gözler önüne sermiş oldu. Toolkit çalışması planlarımızda olan, daha önce birçok kez konuştuğumuz ancak bir plan çerçevesinde yol haritası ve yapılacaklar listesini çıkartmadığımızda projemizi toparlayıcı bir rol oynamaktı. Adım adım aksiyon planı, aksiyon planlarınızı hayata geçirirken ihtiyacımız olanlar ve karşılaşabileceğimiz riskler, risklerin giderilebilmesi için önden yapmamız gereken aksiyonları belirlemek için toolkitler muhteşemler. Toolkitlerin yönlendirmelerinde olmayan kısa, orta ve uzun vade planlarımızı da buna eklediğimiz zaman başlangıcından 1-2 yıl sonrasına kadar hangi adımları takip edeceğimiz, hangi konularda dikkatli olacağımız, enerjimizi nereye yönlendireceğimizi birebir belirlemiş olduk. Umarız projemiz başarıyla hayata geçer ve Kadama Kadın Kooperatifi olarak hem kendi ülke kadınlarıma ve kendi şehrime fırsat sağlamış oluruz. Habitat'a ve sizlere çok teşekkür ediyorum bana bu fırsatı verdiğiniz için. Teşekkürler, sağ olun.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you very much, Jana.
Teşekkür ediyorum. Teşekkür ediyorum.
Lovely to hear the story of the cooperative and how the toolkit has benefited your journey. And what a lovely dress you produce. I wonder how I can buy it. So thanks a lot, Jana. And I would also like to invite Hayat, who is part of the staff from Habitat Turkey. She has helped in developing this toolkit, but has also experienced how you can use the toolkit within the organization. So she's going to share her experience with us as well. So Hayat, over to you.
Thank you so much. It will be hard talking after Canan, actually. As a Habitat Association, our partnerships always aims at sustainable development in fields of technology, entrepreneurship, financial awareness. In 25 years, we have been carrying out trainings and activities for different target groups in the field under 3 main topics: the digital transformation, entrepreneurship, and inclusive and sustainable growth. We are running more than 25 active projects within these programs right now. We reached more than 3 million participants with more than 5,000 volunteers, actually. As I said, Habitat Association supporting entrepreneurs in various ways has been one of the most crucial points for us. Our membership within YBI has offered us diverse ways to create new approaches to empower entrepreneurs. One of these approaches actually was the Social and Green Toolkit. We have taken part in this toolkit pilot process with other members and participants, and it was a very enriching process, actually, enriching journey for us, where we had the chance to see the experiences of different entrepreneurs from diverse backgrounds and countries. And throughout our work, we aim to concentrate on how to help social and green entrepreneurs how to realize themselves and their work in more multilateral way, understand how they can contribute to their society, how can they develop their work more efficiently, and what are the strengths and weaknesses regarding their initiative. According to the feedbacks we received from our entrepreneurs, the toolkit actually stimulates their determination. It provided the opportunity for them to rethink their goals, dreams, working partners, financial inputs, and what they need to do to establish the expense income balance within their work. So it was definitely beneficial to use the toolkit within our social and green entrepreneurs. We did our pilot online due to the pandemic precautions, but we didn't find any difficulty. Otherwise, we had frequent contact with the participants where we could answer their questions. So it was really an easy way to make the pilot with them. As Habitat Association, we have always provided trainings and grants for entrepreneurs. So the toolkit has been very good in terms of mapping out jobs for our participants, showing them the path of their work and how they can really improve their initiatives step by step. So yeah, that's all what I need to say. Thank you so much for giving us the chance. For me personally, I really enjoyed working with you guys, with others, members and participants. So yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, thanks, Hayat. That was lovely. Again, a round of applause, virtual applause. Yeah, it was really great to work with you and also all the other members that have, helped with the development and the testing of this toolkit. So after you have listened to experience of people on the ground using the toolkit, I just wanted to mention a few things on basically how you can also access this toolkit. So let me just find the presentation again. There we go. Oops. So the toolkit, I forgot to mention, I just showed you the Excel version, but there is a PDF version for whoever wants to print it and use it with entrepreneurs. So there's also a PDF version. We are making this toolkit available only for the network for now. So we recognize that the toolkit is still not a prototype anymore, but it's our minimum viable product at the moment. So we will continue to build on this toolkit. What happened is that we used mostly existing tools, and obviously for some areas that are really important for social and green entrepreneurs, that are still not available tools out there that we could just include. So one example is access to finance. We have seen from the regional workshops how big of a topic that is, and there are not many tools out there that we could include in the toolkit to help entrepreneurs with that. So in the coming months, we're going to be working with members to identify and develop new tools for the toolkit, especially in the areas where there are still gaps. So watch that space. You're going to hear from us about that. But we are sort of continuing the idea of a working group to develop the toolkit. And our member in Spain, Youth Business Spain, has kindly offered to translate the toolkit into Spanish. So we're going to have a version in Spanish coming up soon as well. So we're going to hear from us about that. Now, on how you can access the toolkit, we're going to be made the toolkit available to all members, staff that have joined a quick TOT session. So there's going to be a 1.5 hour session where we're going to explain the whole background of the social and green toolkit, all the thinking that has been done there. And then explain in a bit more detail each one of the tools so you can get familiar with them and know how to use them on the ground. We're going to be offering 2 sessions now in May. So one on the 11th of May. It's going to be a morning session for the UK. So probably interesting for the people on the right side of the world. And then the following Wednesday, another session in the afternoon that can be useful for our members in the Caribbean and Latin America. If you're interested to join, Anna is gonna copy a link in the chat, so you can just access that form, complete the form, and we will be in touch with you regarding the TOT. And then as soon as you join the TOT after the session, we're gonna be sharing all the relevant materials of the toolkit so you can start implementing in your organization. So you have like around 2 weeks to have an internal conversation whether this is something interesting for your organization or not, and then register to join the TOT. And then in the future, we're gonna have additional TOT sessions as well as part of our learning calendar, including some in Spanish as soon as we have the toolkit translated. Okay, so that's all about the toolkit. And then in terms of next steps, that to continue the conversations that we have started, just want to give a heads up that if you're very interested in the topic, this has been shared with most of you already, but we have a positioning paper that has been launched last week. So here you can access what YBI has found out about social and green entrepreneurship. So this comes from this big piece of research that I mentioned earlier on that also helped generate this toolkit. So there is content around that, but also conversations that we have had with experts and members, and that's pretty much what YBI sees as important for social and green entrepreneurs, what social and green entrepreneurship means for us, and what are the good solutions that we have seen out there that can be useful and relevant for you all. Just posted the link in the chat so you can access. And I'm going to hand over to Anna, who's going to talk about the community of practice that we are launching today as well.
Thanks, Carol. Yeah, so obviously we've had some great starts to the conversation, and we really want to continue this. We, excuse me, we want to have ongoing discussions where you can learn from each other and support each other, and we can learn as a membership. So what we're going to do is develop a community of practice on social and green entrepreneurship. We would like this to take place once a month. It will be a space for members and experts to share their knowledge and experience in the space and to learn from one another. Once a month, we'll have a 1 hour long meeting. We'll start with that and then see how it goes, see if it needs to be extended. And this is going to start from May. So we haven't got the date yet. We will let you know that as soon as possible. Anyway, so we've got a form, which I'll put in this chat in a second, where you can register your interest in being part of this community of practice. We'd love to find out from you what you're interested in learning and kind of offering to the community. And also you'll see there's a question about any recommendations you have for speakers. We would like to invite experts to come in as well to those sessions to share their knowledge. So I will just add the link to the chat now, and please do register your interest for the community of practice as well. Thanks.
Thanks, Anna. So yeah, lots of information in the session today, loads of links. No worries, because we're going to share this presentation with all the participants after we finish here. We're going to share the recording with you all as well. And I will add all the links to my email as well, so you have it easy to access. So that's all that we had for the session today. We are obviously running out of time. So feel free if you need to drop out and go to a different meeting. That's the official end of the session, but Anna and I will stick around for another 10-15 minutes in case people want to stay and ask questions about any of the things that we have seen here. Otherwise, thank you very much for joining the session today. It was lovely to see all of your faces and names again, because we have seen many of you in the discussions earlier this month. Hopefully this session was useful for you and you could see your contributions reflected here as well. And I'm really hoping that some of you will join the activities coming up regarding the toolkit and the community of practice as well. Okay, so thank you very much and have a good rest of the day. And we are here for those who have questions. Sorry, Anna.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Great, so we can see we still have a few people in the room. Just want to check if any of you have questions. Otherwise, we can finish the session. Okay, so I'm going to assume that there are no questions. So thanks again for joining and hope to see you soon in some of these activities. Bye.
Bye, thanks.